All right, in today's video, we'll continue with our SQL Server Always On Availability AG build. So basically, in the last video, we built a Windows Server failover cluster. So today, we're going to build a SQL Server Always On Availability group. And based on the Windows Server cluster. So this is the basic setup and just for learning purpose, okay? And SQL Server Always On Availability Group, aka is like header, HADR, and similar to the IBM DB2, you have two nodes, and it's one's the primary, another is a secondary, or you can have more nodes. And then you have the cluster to manage resources. And so that is, in Oracle, the data guard is similar, but the data guard don't have the clustering software to manage. It's more or less a manual failover with something is special from Oracle. But in general, the SQL Server Always On AG is more complex than the other two, okay? So let's get started. So the demo system, of course, this is going to be the a domain joined machine. So, we have two database servers. This is the two database server, which is last time we used. And we built this cluster. This is the cluster name, Windows cluster, Windows Server cluster, and this cluster IP address. So basically, one server is address is 226, another is 227. The Windows cluster is 228. So we're gonna install SQL, and also we're gonna configure the listener. So this is gonna be the listener name for the availability group, and this is the IP. Okay. So we should also have a machine called a domain, but we are not listed here. We're gonna focus this two database server and managing by the failover cluster, okay? So in the last video, we end up with, let me find the failover cluster. And it's a little bit small, so we have slow. So we have three machines. This is the failover cluster manager. So you can see this machine is W25D1. This is the IP address. We're going to have another one. It's W25D2. This is IP227. And this is our domain controller. Okay. So the domain controller, let's do a refresh. Where's my refresh button? So we have two computers and one class name is on the AD. Okay. And here's the, where it is here. W22DC. So this is the three machine we're going to use. Okay, we're probably primarily going to use the this server, the D1, to start with. Okay, so let me close this guy. And so this is the cluster. And last time we briefly reviewed the cluster. So in 2025, when you build the cluster, I think Microsoft by default create this user manager group role. Okay, we can ignore, but just leave it as it is. The two node D1, D2, they all up. You see the current root is 1. If you click on this one, this shows the summary of the cluster. So the witness is the quorum. So we have a shared disk called the quorum disk. It doesn't matter the name. The mainly is the role of this disk. Okay. So this is the our cluster. Okay, so let's continue. So here's our brief steps to install SQL Server, configure the high availability using SQL Server Manager, and create AG, including create a test database and back it up. And also briefly to connect the database, maybe we also do a test failover. Okay, so here it is. So it's very simple. So let's get started. All right, I should have already have the SQL. Step one, I'm going to install the SQL Server. Okay, this is from scratch. I already have the DVD. It is low. It is. Let me see. Let's open it. Okay. And where's the D drive? Open. Oh, I need to mount the DVD drive. Just give me a sec. Okay. All right, so we have the CD ISO file mounted. So let's yeah. So this is the installer. Let me close this one from here. Okay, you can see, and basically this is the iOS file and mount it. So we're gonna click on the setup. So the setup is going to start the SQL Server install. So it's fairly simple, but to make this video like consistent, so I just also do the install as well. Theoretically, we can pre-install first. Okay. So here it is. We are not going to use this cluster install because that is different HA solution. So we're going to use a standalone install because that is for the AG availability group. And I'm going to do the same thing for another server, the D2 server. And so we can run it at the same time, okay? To save time. Still, all right, so go to install, go to new server installation. They are standalone install, so it's similar. There's not much difference. All right, finally, so this is so we're gonna use developer edition and accept the license and terms, okay. And after that, use Microsoft Update to check the updates recommended. For this one, I just use check because if this is in production, you don't have internet access, you have to apply the patch or cumulative CU, so they basically check internet so let's do the exclude the error. We don't need error at this moment, so we're gonna just install the database engine service. I don't need other at this moment, so everything just take a default location. And in a production, we're of course going to use like a multi different like the drive for data log temp. So we use the default install instance. We can use the name if we want. And let's continue. All right, so let's go back to this one. Gonna do the same thing and developer edition, accept the license, and let's go back D1, continue. So for this one, we're going to use domain user. I already have a user created. I'm not going to create a user. I'm going to use a domain user called SSSA, basically means SQL Server Service Account, okay? It's a domain user, and if we needed to know the detail, just do some internet search, that's going to be fine, okay? For the SQL Server Database Engine, we're going to do the same thing, okay? We're going to also use the domain user. So theoretically, we probably need to use a different service account or as the user to run the service, okay? And then we're gonna give the password. So this is all standard SQL Server install. There's not much content, so it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. So grant volume group. That's fine. It's just so let's you try to mix mode. So give a password. In certain organization, you probably don't want this mix mode. That's fine. So this is a demo. So we don't need to be that strict. Okay. So, and so it's ready. So we can go ahead to do the install. This is one of them server. Let me continue with the second one. And this one is running. So after the installed SQL Server 2022, then we need to use this SQL Server Configuration Manager to enable the HA feature. Okay, so that is also, I think we also need to look at the TCP/IP, make sure the TCP/IP enabled. Okay, I don't understand why by default SQL Server disabled the TCP/IP. So but anyway, we'll see shortly. And so this is install. No Azure extension. Go to next. And the feature selection, we're gonna just simply select the database service at this moment. We don't need SSIS, those kind of SSAS stuff. Okay. Or maybe also like something else, AI or whatever. So we also use the same default instance. After that, it's a server configuration. We also take a default everything installed on the C drive because we don't have other drive. Okay. We just make it the same. Make it this is automatic. And here we're going to use the same password. Okay, so SA check. So this have this user do exist, and go to check SSSA check name. Okay, here it is, and enter its password. In the real world, this user is created by another team and given to you. So you probably have the let's see, it doesn't match. Okay, so let me try enter one more time. There's a certain rule to create the user. Okay. So, but for this demo, let's see, there's some additional service account login is invalid. For some reason, I mistyped the password. Let me try one more time. Hopefully it's okay this time. Okay, so the ticket, while it is running, I will show from this one is still running. Let's see. Okay, this is the D1, this D2 server, similar thing. We use a mix mood and going to give a healthy password to SA password as well. All right, so I'm going to add a current user wherever we install this one. Also, you can see the data directory, the temp directory. Theoretically, they should be customized, and the max DOP, memory setting, those kind of things. We just leave it as a default, okay? So go to next. All right, so it's ready. Just go ahead to install and start it. At the same time, so let me go to my domain controller and go to user. So in the user, I already have a user like called SSA created. For simplicity, I just give it like a, let's see, property, username, display name, and the member. So I'll just give it to you. In the real world, of course, you cannot give those high privilege, but for simplicity, I just use this, okay? Give a high privilege for the domain user, okay? Domain admin user. And for real world, you need to create, we need to create specific service count, give the needed privilege, okay? Like for example, you can even use the manage service account to create for the service account. But that's another thing is not important, because the important thing we want to set up this availability group. So we're gonna have a place we can play, we're gonna focus on the database part, database administration, database backup, restore, and what is the difference managing like this kind of non-standalone, like cluster based the SQL Server versus a standalone. So there's some unique we need to learn. So basically, in the SQL Server, two technology we should learn. It is the AlwaysOn availability group. Another one is FCI, failover cluster instance. Okay. All right, so the install is complete. So now what I'm going to do is go to the step 2, okay? So the step 2, it says in order to do that, we have to enable the HA using the configuration manager. So let's see why. Let me go to the SSMS. I already installed SSMS on the server. So I'm going to just use the SSMS to connect to the SQL Server, okay? And at the same time, go to this one, it's still running. So I'm also going to, that's fine. So give a few seconds to launch this SSMS, yeah, MS or whatever. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna connect because right now I'm on this D1 server. So you can see it is, I'm gonna use option without the certificate, okay? Okay, it's complete, it's connected. Right now there's only the system databases. And if we go to AlwaysOn availability, this gives you error message. This says this has to be enabled, okay? That is why we need to go to configuration manager and do the things, okay? So we're gonna go to configuration manager. This is just installed. So we're gonna click on the configuration manager and enable this feature, okay? So we're going to go to SQL Server service, go to this default instance. From here, you can hear there's a tab called AlwaysOn availability groups. So because we already have the cluster created, right? So this is grayed out, so you can see. I'm gonna enable AlwaysOn, okay? Apply, then okay. So they said you have to restart the service in order to, okay, so this is one thing. So let's see, we're gonna do a restart the services for the SQL Server instance. There's another thing we need to do is the protocol for the connection, connect to the SQL Server, okay? And I'm gonna click this one. And that is the service start. Okay, let me go see this to install. So for this one, it's called a protocol. You see, by default, the TCP/IP is disabled. Okay, it really doesn't make sense, but who knows? So we're gonna have to enable it. Okay, so simply enable. So in this way, we can connect the instance. Otherwise, you can only connect on the local base. Okay. So let's see. All right. So this is TCP/IP as enabled. And so in this way, if enabled, we can do the remote connection. Okay. Let's just do one more time. I think let's do one more time the restart. It shouldn't, but it's no hurt. Just restart the SQL server. Okay. And I will let this finish. Okay, it's finished. So let's go to the SQL Server Management Studio. So let's do a refresh. Now refresh, you see this is, if I expand this as it's available now, okay? Then you can right click using like to create the availability group, okay? Let's do this. So first, it says, oh, you need to give a group name. So I'm just going to just say demo. Let's see, lowercase. I'm going to go say the demo AG, okay? And then go to next. And they said, oh, you need a database. Because I'm using the GUI, so if you don't use GUI, you probably can select database later. So we use GI. They says you need a database called availability database. So what we can do is let's just create one quick. So we're going to create a new database. So I'm simply call it demo. Okay, so it's created, and let's go back to this one. Let's do a refresh. Now you can see the demo database, it is available, but they said you need a backup before can be used, okay? So let's go back to the SQL Server Management Studio. So we're going to do the demo, do a quick backup, okay? Let's see, task. So we're going to do a backup and just do a quick backup, okay? So it's finished. So let's go back to the again. So let's refresh. It will see, you see, meet the requirement. So now we can pick up this database and to be the availability group needed. Okay, so go to next. So go to next. So in this case, we're going to let's see. We're going to see. I'm going to just simply make it like automatic failover. And we also need to add a replica before. Let's wait a little bit. Let's finish with this finish. So this is finished. Install finished. Now we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to go to the configuration manager. So let's see. So we're going to go to the SQL Server 2022 configuration manager and do the same thing. Enable let's see, first we're going to network. It's disabled, so we're going to simply enable, okay? Okay, so we also need to do the SQL Server service for this one. We're going to enable the AlwaysOn feature, okay? And okay, so now we're going to do restart the SQL Server instance, okay? So then let's go back to D1. Let me see, make sure this is finished, so we can go ahead. So let's see, we're going to see add a replica. So the replica is on another server. In this case, it's D2 server. So we use the Windows authentication try server. So okay, so we're going to connect. So it's connected, and then we use the same automatic. So the readable secondary, so we're gonna you can choose either yes or you can use read in intent only. So I'm gonna just choose a yes, because in this way we can connect the standby, what's called read replica, and the primary replica secondary, okay, the row, okay, so to do that. All right, so let's see. All right, so we can go to next. Before we go to next, let's go to view this tab. Okay, so this is called endpoint. This is basically between this D1, D2, this through this port to communicate for the header. Okay, and that is why it's called HADR endpoint. Okay. Backup reference, we are not going to cover it this time because the backup is very complicated for whatever reason the Microsoft designed. So I probably will talk about these things in the future video. It's not necessary to be that complicated, but it is what it is, okay? So listener, basically listener is like a VIP in the other RDBMS. And also they call it read-only routing. So this is something else we can look into it, okay? So let's configure the listener then. So we said we're gonna create a listener. So the listener DNS name, as we said, we're going to, let me close one of this window. So as I said, we're gonna call this listener name, it's SQL 22 demo AG listener. So I'm going to put here, okay? So this one can be pre-created in the DNS server. So in this way, when the application or user can connect the listener, okay? So the static IP, okay, subnet, it's going to port number. I'm going to use 1433, add, so this is the standard IP, okay? So let's say, okay. It's the, missing a one dot, okay? Okay, this is missing, that's fine. So before I click next, I'm going to go to the domain. So you see early when we see the computer, we have these two computer plus a cluster name. So after we click next, the listener is also going to be registered here, okay? And so let's go back to this one. So I'm going to see next, okay? All right, so here it is. Let me go back to the domain controller, do it. It's not registered yet. Let me try. There could be something else, okay? Because previously I created and deleted, maybe. Let me go this one. So this is the refresh. Okay, so let me continue this and figure it out later, okay? Probably have to manually create. Okay. Next. Okay, so I'm gonna click finish. Let's see. Okay, the first connect. Let's see. It seems working. The connect. The create endpoints, and starting to always extend to another one, create AG, bring the VT online. Here it is, create availability group, listener. Once this is done, this should be ready on this one, okay? I was mistaken. I thought it's going to be immediately. Probably it's going to wait. Okay, here it is. You see the listener name. Its type is computer. The description is called failover cluster virtual network. Okay. At this point, we should have let's let me go to the. So we basically said we create AG. Before we create it, we also create a database, back it up, and so in this way, it's qualified to be a database being the AG group. So now it should be successful. We're gonna look at what changed in the failover cluster manager. Okay, before I do that, let me close some window to save some resources. So let's go to the SSMS. So now let me do a refresh. You can see. Let's go refresh. Now you can see like the demo database with a signature called the synchronized. Okay, that means let's go go to the all availability group. This is called availability group replica. For whatever reason, the secondary was not, although it was successful, the demo database is fine. Somehow, this one was not joined. So let me see this one. The listener is up. Let's connect to another server to see what it looks like. Okay. Database. So I'm gonna connect to D2. See what it looks like. AlwaysOn group. So the database, let me do a refresh to see. No, I don't have to do refresh. You see, the database, although we used automatic seeding, for some reason it's not being created. So if we see the availability group, the group is created. This is the secondary available replica. The secondary replica is not created properly. Also, you see the demo database in this one. So this is the situation. So let me take a look at how to solve this problem. I'm going to pause the video and come back. All right, let's continue. What I did is I just rebooted the server since resolve the issue. I don't understand, so probably have to do some research. But at this moment, everything's working. You see the primary standby, secondary, it's working, and also the database. Let's connect to another secondary replica. So that is going to be this D2. Connect. So let's look at the database. You see, it's also in the synchronized mode. Okay. Then we go to AlwaysOn availability group. You see, this is the primary replica, D1. D2 is secondary replica, and availability database. They all are good. So as I said, I also want to look at the failover cluster, because the failover cluster is the one that is responsible for managing the resources, right? So let's take a look at what is the change, okay, after we created the also AlwaysOn availability group. From failover cluster, you can see it in the row. Now we get a new row. So the new row is called demo AG. That is we created. Okay. Currently, you see it is it's running on W25D1. This is the owner node. This SQL Server instance is running on this primary is running on this node. So the node, these two nodes is still up. And if we go back to here, same thing. So there's not much change. Okay, so the only is the row. So if we click on the row, you can see it. So we have a client access name called the SQL 22 demo listener. So the user can connect to this listener address to connect the database. Okay, so let's do a test. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's see, we do a test and to see how this connection. So we are gonna do a remote test. Okay, so before we do that, let's go to another machine to do the test. Okay, so another machine. Let's go to the DC. Okay, so DC server. I just borrow this DC server because I cannot have too much VM on a laptop, so we have to borrow. So use DC server acting as a client. Okay, so from here, so we're going to let's see. So we're gonna connect to the listener. Okay, so let's see. So we're gonna connect the listener address. This is the listener address. Okay, so of course, I would think let's use optional. So then here we're gonna give the listener address, and so we're gonna connect. You see, it's connected. So after connect, let's go to the AlwaysOn group or reader group. It is the primary. It is let's see, from AG. So this is W25D1. So that means the connection is connecting to this primary. And if we want to create, let's see, connect a secondary to read, right? We cannot use the IP and the listener anymore. So we have to let's do just a test. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to connect to just the secondary. So that one we know is called the W25D2. Okay, so let's try this one. Now we're connected. That means we connected to a standby server, read only. Okay, so let's do a new query. You can see this is the read only database. If I see create, let's see, create a table, you will get an error message, right? Create a table. Let's see. Int. Let's just see what you're gonna get. Execute. You see, this is because this is on the read only. However, this can be created on the primary replica. Okay, but how do I know which one is a primary replica? And one way is you just query that sys property. Let's see if I go here. If we do a new query, right? So let's see if we do a new query. And on this database, we definitely can do that. Let's use the demo. Okay, so I'm going to use the demo database. Let's see, you will be able to create, right? So that is the read-write database. And also, let's see, which we want to know which physical server being created. I think we can do is called the server property. So this function called the server property, and then we can give the probably called the net bias machine name, something like that. If I forget, we can go Google to find out. Okay. So let's see if we execute. No, it's not net bias machine name. Let me do a quick search. Okay. And so let's see. It's called SQL Server Property. So let's go to Microsoft page. There's a lot of server property. That means the instance property. So we needed one called Control F net bias. Here it is. It's called computer name physical net bias. Okay, this is basically the physical name of that machine. Okay, it's called. Let me paste here. So next time I'm going to remember computer name physical net bias. Let's invalid column name. Select server property. Oh, you need the quotation mark. All right, so it's almost there. So now you can see it is connected to this one, right? So now let's do a failover test. One of the tests that we can use the. Let's go to the not here. So let's go to D1. So let's invoke this cluster manager, failover cluster manager. So this is the role. You can let the cluster manager to managing this. Okay, one of these called move. I can use right click the same thing. You see, move. There's the stop rule, move the other things, and see like more option, more So I'm going to use move. So move is the best possible node. That means do a failover, or you can select a node, whichever one you want to failover to. So I'm going to just use just to do a failover. So now you see this demo this row, it is pending. Now it's good. Now you can see the owner node is D2 now. All right, so let's go back to the SSMS. So let's do execute again. Now you can see it is D2 server. Because for this connection, we use the listener. When we do the failover, the listener was failover to D2. And another way you can see it is through the Windows. Let's see. We can see, let's go to use a terminal window. If we use the, let's see, net stat minus NA. Let's do a find str listening. Okay, so you can see it. It is listening to let's see, it should be not netstat. This is port is IP config. So if you see my IP config, my IP config minus all. Let's see. Okay, IP config is fine. So basically, you see, I'm on which server? Let's see my host name. I'm on D1. You see, this is the D1. So the listener IP is now on this D2. Okay, so we can do the same thing. Let's go to and let's do CMD. You can see on the OS level, you can see the IP was changed. Okay, so let's do a